You embarrassed yourself recently. Maybe it was today. Maybe you waved at someone who wasn't waving at you. Maybe you called your teacher mom. Maybe you sent a text to the wrong person. And for a few seconds, your brain treated it like a disaster. That hot flush spreading up your neck and into your face, your brain replaying the moment on a loop you cannot stop. The desperate wish that the floor would simply open and swallow you whole. Embarrassment. Every single human on the planet knows exactly what that feels like, and almost nobody knows why. Because here's the strange thing. Embarrassment is not just an emotion. It is one of the most uniquely human experiences that exists. Most animals do not get embarrassed. Your dog does not lie awake at night replaying that time it ran into a glass door. But you do. And there is a very specific reason for that. A reason that goes back further than you might expect. Let's start with what is actually happening in your body when you get embarrassed. Because it is not subtle. The moment embarrassment hits, your sympathetic nervous system activates. The same system that handles fear and danger, adrenaline releases, your heart rate increases, blood vessels in your face dilate, and you blush. The blush is the part that makes no sense on the surface. Why would your face turn red? What possible evolutionary purpose could that serve? Here's the answer that took scientists a surprisingly long time to figure out. The blush is not a malfunction, it is a signal. In 1872, Charles Darwin wrote about blushing and called it the most peculiar and most human of all expressions. He was right about the peculiar part. Animals don't blush. It is a uniquely human response. But why? When you blush in a social situation, you are sending an involuntary signal to everyone around you. A signal that says, I understand I did something wrong. I care about what you think of me. I am not a threat to the group. And here's the fascinating part. Research has shown that people who blush are actually trusted more than people who don't. A 2011 study from the University of Groningen found that people who blushed after making a mistake were rated as more trustworthy, more likable, and more moral than people who showed no reaction at all. Your face turning red is your body's way of saying, I'm one of you. I know the rules. I value this group. That is not weakness. That is social intelligence built into your biology. But the blush is only half of it. The other half is what happens inside your head. When you get embarrassed, the brain activates a region called the medial prefrontal cortex. This is the part of the brain responsible for thinking about how other people see you. Scientists call this self-conscious processing, and humans are extraordinarily good at it. You do not just experience the embarrassing moment once. Your brain records it, stores it, and replays it. Sometimes for years. You are lying in bed at 2 a.m. and your brain suddenly decides to remind you of that time in 6th grade when you mispronounced a word in front of the class. Why does the brain do this? Because for most of human history, your reputation was your survival. You did not live alone. You lived in a group of 30 to 50 people, and your position in that group determined whether you ate, whether you were protected, whether you found a partner, whether your children survived. A single embarrassing moment, one act of public incompetence, one visible violation of group norms, could shift how your group saw you. And a drop in social status in a small, tight-knit group was genuinely dangerous. So your brain evolved to take social mistakes extremely seriously. The 2 a.m. replay is not your brain torturing you. It is your brain doing a post-incident review. Analyzing what went wrong. Ensuring you do not make the same mistake again. Protecting your social position the only way it knows how. Here is where it gets even more interesting. There are actually two different types of embarrassment, and they feel different because they are different. The first type is what researchers call unintentional embarrassment. This is the classic kind. You tripped. You spilled something. You walked into the wrong bathroom. You did something your brain registered as a social mistake. The second type is called empathic embarrassment, or more commonly, secondhand embarrassment. This is when you feel embarrassed watching someone else be embarrassed. You are watching a talent show and someone is clearly about to fail. You cannot look away, but you also cannot watch. Your face does the embarrassed wince before anything has even happened. Your brain is running a simulation. It is imagining being that person. And the same neural circuits that process your own embarrassment activate when you watch someone else go through it. This is not accidental. Empathic embarrassment is a feature of the same system that allows humans to cooperate. If you can feel another person's social pain as if it were your own, you are less likely to put them in that position. You become more careful about how you treat others, more sensitive to public shame. In a group that needed to function together to survive, that sensitivity was a significant advantage. Now here's the part most people find surprising. The things that embarrass you are not random. Embarrassment requires two specific conditions to activate. First, you have to care about the opinion of the people watching. You can do things alone that would completely mortify you in public. The difference is not the action, it is the audience. No audience, no embarrassment. Small audience of strangers you will never see again. Low embarrassment. Audience of people whose opinion genuinely matters to you. Maximum embarrassment. This is why embarrassment is so much more intense in front of your peers than in front of strangers. Second, you have to have a sense of what the normal or expected behavior was. You cannot be embarrassed by breaking a rule you did not know existed. The embarrassment comes from knowing the standard, falling short of it, and knowing that others saw it happen, which means embarrassment is only possible in creatures that have internalized social rules, that understand expectations, that track their own reputation. That is an extraordinarily sophisticated cognitive system. Your average lizard does not have it. Your average bird does not have it. Even chimpanzees show only the very earliest hints of it. Humans have it in a way that is unmatched in the animal kingdom. Because no other species built societies as complex as ours. No other species needed to navigate social hierarchies, reputation systems, and group norms at the scale humans do. Embarrassment is the price of admission to a species that figured out how to cooperate at civilization level. So the next time embarrassment hits, the next time your face goes red and your brain starts the replay, remember what is actually happening. Your nervous system is running a program that kept your ancestors alive. Your blush is sending a signal that humans evolved to trust. Your 2 a.m. replay is your brain protecting your reputation the only way it knows how. You are not weak for getting embarrassed. You are human. And being human means carrying a brain that cares, deeply and automatically, about what the people around you think. That is not a flaw. That is exactly what got us here. Basically, embarrassment is proof you belong. Subscribe if you want to understand more about the strange things your brain actually does. New video every week.